Hello everyone, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In the previous video, we have discussed some properties of coordinate system. So we have discussed two coordinate system. The first one is the Cartesian coordinate system and the second one is the polar coordinate system. And we will use the terminology from both coordinate system in this video. So we will continue our discussion related to here. So we have the relations and function. Okay, so yeah, in real world, we have so many relations. For example, like when you meet your friend, right? And you can say that I have a relation with my friend. Why? What is the relation? Yeah, about the friendship. Or if not, when you look at your family, then you and your parents, you have a relation also, right? And in general, yeah, in mathematics also, there are many relations that occurred. For example, if we have this less than, this one is a relation also. And if we compare two sets, we have this subset, it is a relation. And also, if you learn number theory, then the divisibility is a relation. And yeah, we should make a general definition for a relation. And yeah, this is the definition. So this one should be the most general one. And if we have two sets here, A and B, what is a relation? A relation from A to B is a subset of A cross B. So what is A cross B? It is a set consists of a pair where the first coordinate is in A and the second coordinate is in B. And for arbitrary elements A in A and B in B, we will write A R B. Yeah, and this is the meaning. So A comma B in A. So all we can say A is related to B by this relation R. And if A is equal to B, so we have R is a relation on A because they are the same set. For example, like when we have this is our A, so 1, 2, and 3, this is our B, and we make this relation. So usually we can draw like this. This is our A, this is our B, and we have 1, 2, 3. We have X, Y, Z, then 1 to Y here, and then we have 3 to X here. But yeah, we don't have 1 to Z, right? So this is the relation from A to B. One example. Another example, yeah, we also can make a relation on a set of words. So basically we can make a relation from general set. So whatever set that we have, then we can make a relation to another set. So depend on the requirements, depend on us. Okay, for example, like the relation on the set of words, for example, like this. So A alpha comma beta are related when they have the same length. For example, like 3 TREE. So the length is 4. X Y A K S. The length is also 4. So they are related. But with this relation, if we have awesome, AWESOME 7, right? And compared to gum, we have 1, 2, 3, 3. So they are not related using this relation. So that's some example related to relations. And what is a function? Because we already familiar with this from, I'm not sure, but I think for elementary school that we already know about function. A function, yeah, basically is a spatial relation. So it is a relation plus some requirements. What are the requirements? First, So if we have a function from A to B, then yeah, that one should assign each element. So this is the first requirement. So assign each element to exactly 1. So this one is the second requirement element in B. So there are 2 requirements which differentiates between a function and the relation. Okay, for example like this. Which one of the following relations are functions? And we can see here, so A, B, and C, all of them have a map. So we have this one is a function. And how about number 2? A go to 1, B go to 2, C go to 2. Then you can see here, and every element is assigned exactly to one element in B. So we have this one is a function, and this one is not. Why? Because B is not assigned to anywhere. Then A is not a function. Then this one also. Why? Because A has 2 here, so 1 and 2, but B doesn't have. So there are 2 conditions which makes this one become not a function. And how about this one also? A go to 1 and A go to 3. That's why it is not a function. But yeah, 6 is a function. Why? Because every element in A assigned have assigned to any element in B, and we can see exactly once. So this one is a function. So okay, should be clear enough. And a function is usually denoted by a letter or a symbol, and sometimes we also use Greek symbol. And when we have A and B are non-empty sets, a function from A to B usually denoted by this, and each x in A is assigned to an element fx in B. So we also can call that fx is the value of f at x, or the map of x by f. So they are the same thing. And for example, like when we have f from here, this is our A and this is our B. So A is the open interval 0 to infinity, then B is the set of real number, and we have fx, we define it like this, 2x plus 1 over x for every x greater than 0. Then we can see that if we have x is equal to 1, what happened? X is equal to 1, then we have 2 times 1 plus 1 over 1, right? This one is for f1. So we get f1 is equal to 3. How about f half? Then 2 times half is 1, plus 1 over half is 2. So we have 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. Then next, when we have x is equal to A plus 1, then we have, yeah, we just change here, substitute x with A plus 1. So we have 2 times A plus 1 plus 1 over A plus 1. Then the last one, if we have x is equal to 1 over x, then that's also the same thing. So we have 2 times 1 over x plus 1 over x. That will give us this one, 2 over x plus x. Okay, hopefully that's clear enough. And if we have this function f from A to B, set A is called the domain of f, and usually we donate it with df, and we have A is equal to df, and B is the codomain of f, and the set of all values fx in B is called the range of f, and usually denoted by Rf. So Rf is, yeah, every element in B where there exists x in A such that y is equal to fx. That's the range of f. Hopefully it's clear enough. And usually if the domain of f is not given explicitly, then what happened? Yeah, we will find the largest subset of R so that the function is well defined. So df actually is this. Sometimes it is not exactly like A. For example, like this. This one should be fine, should be easy, because if we see that for this function, note that the value 2x minus 3 always exists, right? Or is well defined. For each x in R. So we have what happened. What is the domain of f? We get, yeah, every real number that will be the domain of f. So we have x in R where 2x minus 3 is well defined. That will give us this one is equal to R. So hopefully that's clear enough. And to make it more clear, we go to the next one. This one. Please note that square root of x plus 1 will be exist if what happened? If we have square root of negative number, we don't have the square root. Why? Because we talk in set of real number. That's why this one is only exists if whatever inside the square, if the value, so in general, if we have square root of a, if the value of a is non-negative, so greater or equal to 0. So what we have here, what is the domain of f? So every real number where square root of x plus 1 is well defined. So what happened? We have every real number where x plus 1 is non-zero. Then what is it? We have this one is x greater than or equal to minus 1. And if we write it in interval, then we get this one is minus 1 to infinity. Okay, should be clear enough. Okay, so this is the domain. Why? Because we should make sure that whatever inside the square, it is a non-negative number. Okay, next, for example, for this one. So if we have a fraction, make sure the denominator cannot be 0. So the value of x plus 1 over 2x minus 3 is well defined or exists if the denominator is non-zero. What that means? Yeah, that means, yeah, we have 2x minus 3 cannot be 0. So what we have, 2x cannot be equal to true. So what we have, 2x cannot be, cannot be equal to 3 over 2. That's why our df is every real number where, yeah, the denominator cannot be 0. So we have 2x minus 3 cannot be 0. Then what we have, this one will be here. So x in R where x is not equal to 3. So what is it? If we write it in interval, then we have this to 3 and union 3 to infinity. So we don't have 3 in the domain, because if we assign 3 here, 2 times 3, 3 over 2, I mean, this one 3 over 2, 3 over 2, 3 over 2. So 2 times 3 over 2 is 3, minus 3 is 0. So this is the domain. And next, how about this? So remember, the value of ln x minus 1 is well defined. Well defined if the expression here, so if we have ln a, so the expression should be a should be greater than 0. So whatever here, then we have our df is every real number where x minus 1 is greater than 0. That what is it? So we get x greater than 0. And if we write it in interval, then what we have? Sorry, this one is 1 greater than 1. So we have 1 to infinity. So hopefully that's clear enough. And in a function, we also can do some operation. So the first one, of course, like a real number, we have an addition. So we have f plus g. What is it? Yeah, we define it fx plus gx. And the domain, we have the intersection of domain f and domain g. And the second one, we also have scalar multiplication. So alpha times fx is equal to alpha fx, and the domain should be the same. And here, the multiplication of two functions, we have the domain is the intersection of df and dg. And the last one is the here. Then again, we should make sure that the denominator is not 0. So here, so we have, yeah, it's not only the domain, it's not only the intersection of df and dg, but also we have to make sure that gx is not 0, because we cannot have the denominator is equal to 0. Okay, and next, if f is a function from a to b, we can define, yeah, a relation. Okay, so g is a relation from b to a where, yeah, we bring back y to x, right, when x go to y by f. For example, like if we have a here and b here, x go to y, and then we try to by f here, and we try to make a relation from y to x with g. But in general, it is not a function. Why? Because remember, when we have a function, there are two conditions here. So let's see. Yeah. Yeah, right. So the first condition, it should assign each element in, yeah, whatever the domain. Okay, and yeah, the assignment, so we have exactly 1. Okay, so there are two conditions, and we try to make the g satisfy both conditions from b to a. So if the assignment, so it assign exactly 1 from b to a, so we have from b to a, if the g, then we call it injective. Okay, so injective means, yeah, if fx1 is equal to fx2, that implies x1 is equal to 2. So it will make sure our g here from b to a, this one, the assignment is really made an element exactly 1 to a. Okay, from b to a. So injectivity, that's the reason why we need injectivity. And the second one is surjectivity, because when we make a map from b to a with g like this, then there is no guarantee that every element in b can be assigned to a. That's why we need surjectivity. So this will satisfy the requirements to be a function for g. So for every y in b that exists x in a such that fx is equal to y. That means the range of f is equal to b. So when we have both condition is satisfied for G, then yeah, it is a bijective. So it is a bijective if f is both injective and surjective. So the main reason why we need this and this, we want to make sure that when we have a function from A to B, then yeah, relation G from B to A with this condition, then it will be a function too. Okay, and we can check this. For number 1, it should be clear it is a bijective. Why? Because every element in A has exactly here one element, but here also exactly one element to A, and every element in B has a map in A. Okay, so we can see RF is equal to B, and then yeah, injectivity, that's also satisfied. And the second one is not injective, but it is surjective. Why? It's not surjective and also not injective. So not injective and surjective. Why? Because it's not injective because of this. B and C go to 2, so it is not injective, and it is not surjective because of this. So this one because of this. Okay, and this one how? This one is not injective because we have D and A go to 1, correct? So it's not injective, but it is surjective for number 3 because every element in B something like in A. And here what we have, this one is clear, it is a bijective because every element in A here and then B also, and we have RF is equal to B, then injectivity also holds. So this one is bijective, and this one is not injective. Why? Because why is it not injective? Because here A go to whatever, and also not surjective. So if it is not either bijective or injective or surjective, then it's clear that it is not bijective. Okay, so should be clear here. And it's not surjective because 1 and 3 has nothing go to them. And the last one we have, this one is injective, but it's not surjective. The reason is because we have 3, and yeah, there is nothing go to 3. Okay, and yeah, the main reason why we need to develop a bijective function, because we want to define the inverse of a function. So this is the definition. If f go from A to B, then the inverse relation of f is this relation. That's exactly what we discussed before. This one is our G before. So we have this, and yeah, if we have f map x here, A to B, x go to y, then yeah, the inverse will map back y to x. So for example, like this, if this is a function here, and this is the inverse. So the inverse of a function in general, it may be not a function, okay, and it can be a function. So depend. And if yeah, it is injective, and if we define the inverse of a function with this notation, then we have the function from here, RF. So here we have A, this one B, right? And A, everything here, F, go to RF. Okay, so if F injective, then a function from RF to A, so this one is our F inverse, then this function is a function. And moreover, if Rf is equal to B, that means f is a surjective function. Then we will get f is a bijective, then f inverse is a function from B to A. So this one is the important part of why we need to develop injectivity, an injective function, and also subjectivity, a subjective function. So for example, like this, so if we have f is a function with this, so f is this function, then we will find f inverse and the domain of f inverse. Okay, so we start from here. So note that if I have y is equal to x plus 1 over 2x minus 3, then yeah, this will be the same as 2xy minus 3y. Okay, so because we multiply both sides with 2x minus 3 equal to x plus 1, then we will get 2x minus y minus x is equal to 2x times y. Sorry, this one is 3y plus 1. Why? Because we want to collect every x here. And here we have x is equal to 3y plus 1 over 2y minus 1. So hopefully this one is clear enough. Then we have, therefore, we have f inverse y is equal to 3y plus 1 over 2y plus 1. And what is the domain of this? Sorry, this one 2y minus 1. So what is the domain? So this one also we can change our y to x. So we have here is equal to 3x plus 1 over 2x minus 1. And what is the domain of f inverse? Then yeah, it should be clear because 2y minus 1 cannot be 0. That means 2y cannot be 1. Then y cannot be equal to half. Okay, so we have it cannot be half. So from minus infinity to half, union from half to infinity. So the one is for this example, and for the second example we try to see if we flip or we see the reciprocal, then what happened here. Then the process is almost the same. So we have y is equal to 2x minus 3 over x plus 1 I. Okay, if and only if what we have y x plus y is equal to 2x minus 3, if and only if yx minus 2x is equal to minus 3 minus y, then what we have, our x is equal to minus 3 minus y over what we have for this one is y, right? Y minus 2. So we have f inverse x is equal to what? Minus 3 minus x over x minus 2. So what is the domain of f? X minus 2 cannot be 0. That means x is not equal to 2. So we have this one minus infinity to 2, then union 2 to minus infinity. Okay, so hopefully that's clear enough to how to find an inverse of a function. And next example, if we have this fx, then what we have y is ln x minus 1, if and only if. So ln what we have e to the y is equal to e to the ln x minus 1, and by definition e to the ln something, ln a maybe, is equal to a. Okay, so we have e to the y is equal to x minus 1. So what we have, x is equal to e to the y plus 1. To be clear enough, then we have f inverse x will be equal to what? e to the x plus 1. And if we see this e to the whatever, so it will holds, it will well defined for every real number. So we have the domain of f is real number, f inverse. This one also, the domain of f inverse is the set of real number. So hopefully that's clear enough. And this one is a little bit more complicated because we have to be careful. So we have fx is a piecewise function with this, okay, this condition. So what we have, so we have to divide into several cases. So case 1, when x is greater than or equal to 1, and here we can see here 1, so greater than equal to 1, and then this one is another case, so we divide it into 2 cases. So what we have y is equal to 2x plus 3, and x or 2x is equal to y minus 3, and what we have here, x is equal to y minus 3 over 2, correct? So we have f inverse x is equal to x minus 3 over 2. And when we have x greater than equal to 1, what we have x minus 3 over 2 will be greater than or equal to 1 here. Okay, so hopefully I think I should use y first. And when x is greater than equal to 1 here, so we have this part is this, and this will give us y. I think I should write this first. So what I have, y minus 3 is greater than equal to 2, and y is greater than or equal to 5. Okay, so this one is the first case, and be careful for the next one case when what we have x less than 1. So what we have, the second one is this, right? So we have y is equal to 3x minus 2 over x minus 1. So what we have here, we have xy minus y is equal to 3x minus 2. And what is it? xy minus 3x is equal to minus 2 minus y. Then what is it? We have x times y minus 3 equal to minus 2 minus y. Then we get x is equal to minus 2 minus y over y minus 3. Okay, should be clear enough. Then what happened when x less than 1? We have y minus, so what is it? Am I wrong? To be correct, right? So okay, so what we have here, okay, and what we have here, we have should be correct, right? We have xy minus y, this one 3x minus 2, and we have xy minus 3x minus 2 minus y. Then we have this, okay, should be fine. And we have this, and yeah, to make it easier, I think I would like to write here 2 plus y over y minus 3. Then if we have this part, right, minus 2 plus y over y minus 3 less than 1, so what happened? Then we have here So 2 plus y, right? Okay. So this is minus. So I think I change first. Y minus 1 greater than minus 1. So should be correct. And what happened is this one is greater to here. Then yeah, we can find y is less than or equal to what number here. Okay, so I think this one I leave it for exercise to make sure you understand or not with this calculation. So please, if you watch up to this point, then try to answer this question. Yeah, this one to make sure that you are really try to understand the material. Okay. Next, if we have next after we have, so f inverse x is whatever from here. What we have, y minus 3 over 2, right? So we have here x minus 3 over 2. Then this one is x greater than 5. Then the second one is 2 plus x minus 2 plus x over this one. My minus is here over y minus 3. Nah, x is blah 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 blah. Find the condition. This one I leave it for exercise. Okay, so hopefully that's clear enough. And yeah, that's all for some example. And next, if we have two functions f and g, and the domains are df and dg respectively, and the composition is defined as this. So we have, yeah, if x go to fx, then fx go to g fx, and this is the composition of two function. So this is our FOG, and this is called the composition. And for example, if we have f from a to b and g from b to c, we have this, or both g or f, then let we see here a go to 1 and then 1 go to q. That's why a go to q. Okay, so be clear. B go to 2 and then 2 to r, so b to r. And here c to 2 and then 2 to r, so c also goes to r. And yeah, this is one example of a composition. And what happens if we have this kind of notation? That's also the same. So we will try to see what is GOF. GOFX, what is it? Is GFX, correct? So what is it? We have ln. Okay, to be clear enough. Blah 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 blah. What we have here is GOF. So ln from x plus 1 over to x minus 3, correct? Minus 1. So we substitute this x to here. X plus 1 over to x minus 3. And actually, if we have this kind of stuff, is dependent, because this one is a bit confusing, because there are two possibilities of here. It can be ln x minus 1 or it can be ln x minus 1. So please be careful. So if it is this, then it go to here. If this one is this, then our GOF will be same, GFX. That will be ln this one, x plus 1 over to x minus 3 minus 1, and this one will give us what is it, x plus 1 minus 2x minus 3 over 2x minus 3. So this one is ln minus x minus 2 over 2x minus 3. Okay, so is it correct? Yeah, 2x minus 3. This one should be here, plus 4. Okay, minus x plus 4. And how to find the domain? So depend on the question. It can be this, can be this. So we discuss for the second one. Okay, so what is the domain? Yeah, the domain of GOF for this one. And what is it? We have here, see, this is the domain. So every x in the FW, fx in DG. Okay, so we have the domain of GOF is everything here. So we cannot have x is not equal to 3 over 2 from there. So be clear. And yeah, this one makes sense for this. So it's not equal to 3 over 2, but should be greater, right? Greater than 0 from here. That's why we get the domain is every real number where this one is, what is it? 4. Okay. So I think what we have here, minus x plus 4, this part over this. So it cannot be this one if we have learned. The reason is because when we have learned for something, so minus x plus 4 over this one to x minus 3 should be this part greater than 0, right? So what we have, minus 3 plus 4 is greater than 2x minus 3 should be, because x is, yeah, depend on our x, but the thing is this one over 2x minus 3, right? Greater than 0. So please double check. Please double check from here to here. We have the condition here is from 3 over 2 to x to 4. So please double check this part. So when we have this inequality, then we will get this one. So yeah, again, I leave it for exercise. Okay, so 2 exercises you can try by yourself, and yeah, especially to make sure that you really understand the calculation. Okay, next, for this one, what is the composition? This one is much more complicated, and I think it is good for exercise. And if you encounter any difficulties, please leave at the comment section below. Okay, so I think that's all, and the last part of this video is about functions on real numbers. So in general, functions defined on a subset of R can be categorized in these two categories. The first one is algebraic functions. And what are the examples? The examples are polynomials, rational functions, root functions, and absolute value function. And what is it? Yeah, if that function can be written as combination of a constant function and the identity function f(x) is equal to x. That is algebraic function. And the second one, transcendental functions. Yeah, if they are not algebraic, for example, like exponential, of course cannot be represented as this, right? So that is for exponential functions. And then logarithmic function, trigonometric, and yeah, you see the inverse, the cyclometric function. Okay, this is the constant function, and we already familiar with it. Fx is equal to k for every x and for a fixed k. Then for example, like when x is equal to 2, fx is equal to 2, then we have this one, right? And then the identity function fx is equal to x, it should be clear, because whatever you get here, 3 go up, then you also get 3. 4 go up, you get 4. Then -1, -1, correct. So we have this one is a linear function, and this one is the general formula for linear function, and we have this in general like this, because why? When x is equal to 0, then y is equal to b, right? So it always pass through 0, b. And this one is the quadratic function. And remember the Vieta formulas to find the sum of the roots and also the product of the roots. Okay, this is the roots. I think you are already familiar with this. And there are 6 possibilities. When we have this is the formula. So this one is the formula. Then it's depend on our A, and then also the discriminant and D. And when A is greater than 0, then what happened? That we have this, right? So this one, A, see, A greater than 0, A greater than 0, and this one, A is less than 0, less than 0, less than 0. So it will affect on the concave or convex. And how about the D? D will give effects when D is less than 0, then it will not cut this horizontal line, the x-axis. And if D is equal to 0, there is exactly 1 point here. And if D is greater than 0, there are 2 points here. Okay, that's also the same for the case when A is less than 0. See, D is less than 0, then it do not cut through this x-axis. Then this one exactly 1 point, and this one 2 points. And next, this is for the cubic function, and we can find the roots also, like the Vieta formula for the power of 2. And this is the example when px is equal to s cubed plus x squared minus x plus 1. And this is the graph. Okay. And next, if we have the rational function, for example, like this one is our px is equal to x, then our qx is equal to x plus 1, then this is the graph. And why we get something like this, see? Because when we have x is, yeah, very close to -1, and yeah, we will see that when it is very close to -1, then the difference here is go to 0. That's why the division will give even will give infinity or minus infinity, right? That's why we have this and this. And next, we have root functions, and it should be clear. And absolute value, I think we already familiar with that. And this one is more familiar also. And exponential and logarithmic. Please remember some properties of them, and you can read it one by one for the properties. And this is the example, fx is equal to e to the x, and this one is fx is equal to ln x. And that's also the same when x go to 0, x greater than 0, and it will go to ln x will go to minus infinity. And trigonometric function, I think, yeah, you already know it. Sinus, cosinus, tangent, secant, cosecant. So basically it comes from here. So see, y, x, this one alpha or x. I think it's better to not using yeah, or alpha x y r. So sinus alpha is x over r, and then cosinus alpha is y over r, and tangent is x over y. This is the basic one. And second is 1 over cosinus, so r over y, and then cosecant is 1 over sinus r over x here, and then cotangent is the 1 over tangent, the reciprocal of tangent. So we have this one is y over x. So hopefully that's clear enough. And there are many properties of them, and please make sure that you are reviewing by yourself. And this is the graph. I hope you are familiar with this and should be familiar. This one is for arcus sinus and so on up to arcus cotangent, and this is the graph. And I think that's all for this video. Okay, thank you for reviewing, and please try to understand whatever inside this video, and also please try the exercise, especially some exercises that left for you to complete. And if you encounter any difficulties, please let me know, maybe during the synchronous session. Okay, thank you. See you in the next video. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.